Tank Top Master will be the next SSR Plus character coming out in August. So here's everything you need to know about TTM and whether or not he is worth pulling for. So let's get into his attack skills. So for his basic attack, he attacks a single target with 2 hits for 120% of his attack. And for his ultimate attack, he attacks enemies in a column with 5 hits for 110% of his max HP, which also triggers breakthrough 1 time per attack, which completely removes the activation of unyielding and those specialized unyielding shields. And if you have his keepsake, you'll unlock his ultra ultimate attack where he'll instead deal 140% of his max HP as damage. So overall, a very basic concept but can be very powerful in battle. Going through his passive skills, so for his regular passive, at the start of battle he obtains specialized guard by 180% of his HP, which adds an extra purple health bar with every star visible representing 100% of his max HP and being able to generate a maximum of 15 stars. Also at the start of battle, he permanently removes damage sharing from the enemy team, which completely nullifies all minions from sharing damage, which includes Goketsu's crows, Boros's thieves, and King's drones. And when he is either attacked or defeated, he reflects 51% of damage taken to 4 random enemies, much like Carnage's reflect passive. So this passive will heavily counter all those damage sharing units, which makes his passive very powerful in PvP. If you manage to limit break him to 5 stars, he obtains specialized guard by 200% of his HP, and his damage reflect will be able to hit all enemies. And if you manage to unlock his 5p awakening, he obtains specialized guard by 230% of his HP, and he'll reflect 61% of damage taken to all enemies. Now for his awakened passive, at the start of battle he summons Tanktoptiger, who inherits attack by 30% of Tanktop Master's HP. And after any ally's action, the tank top bro will then deal follow-up damage to 1 random enemy for 100% of its attack, which prioritizes enemies who are in specialized unyielding and triggers breakthrough, so his minions will be able to inflict a lot of breakthrough throughout an entire round. And after which, he recovers Tank Top Master's specialized guard by 20% of his max HP, so not only will his minions be constantly dealing breakthrough, but they will also constantly regenerate Tank Top specialized guard, which makes him survive for much longer. If you manage to unlock his second awakening, then he will be able to also summon tanktopblackhole, so you'll be able to deal double the breakthrough and double the specialized guard regeneration, which makes him great both offensively and defensively. Now going through his enhancements, for his talent page, I would recommend unlocking both of his talent pages, and from his second page, I would recommend upgrading his base HP, damage reduction, and block rate, and from his third page, I would upgrade his base HP, block, damage reflect, and ult damage reduction. Those should be your top priority. And then those marked inside the blue circles are also good stats to upgrade if you do have the spare talent points to do so. For his damage sigils, use sword sigils, and for his support sigils, use vitality sigils. You should try and get as much HP as possible with this character. In regards to his limit break, do get him to 5 stars as soon as possible, as you'll be able to inflict damage reflect to all enemies, much like how it was when we had to rush Carnage to 5 stars as soon as possible, because that damage reflect to all enemies really does make a difference. And in regards to his awakening, get him to 5p if you do have his keepsake, as you'll be able to deal 61% of incoming damage as damage reflect, which having a damage reflector for your hero teams will help you tremendously in both PvP and PvE. Now going through his gears, so for his gear set, the best set for him would be a drive set. Otherwise, the next best set would be either a machine or ninja. Then some other decent alternatives that you can use may include a suit, battle, casual, magic, or even primal set. And with these gears, you would want all 4 pieces having HP bonus in order to get his HP as high as possible. And for his buff gears, all of them should have HP, with your hero gear having 3 HP bonus and 2 flat HP. Your grappler gear having 3 flat HP and either 2 crit or 2 block rate, depending on if you want to be more aggressive or more defensive. And your S-class gear having 3 flat HP and either 2 bonus damage for more damage reflect or 2 damage reduction rate for more survivability. And if you manage to get an augmentation from upgrading your S-class gear, they're not very important on him, so I would avoid them if you can, but either a tenacity or block augment would be the best for him if you do manage to obtain such augments. Now I will also be providing some examples of what some lineups can look like with Tank Top Master. Now for the higher end lineups, I did decide to include Phoenix Man in some of these teams, as he is confirmed as the next Awaken Wheel character, who should be coming sometime in August. So I did want to include him because he is going to synergize quite well in these teams. Like an example one, this will probably be one of the meta teams, which does include Deep Sea King and Goketsu still being relatively used if you do have a very strongly invested Goketsu, and then you speed up Tank Top Master instead, because Tank Top Master will be able to deal breakthrough much like Goketsu, and then you can also use his minions to just inflict tons of breakthrough. And you still have Flashy to be your speedster, and then your two espers being Gargantua for the core, and now Phoenix Man. Phoenix Man, if you don't know already, with my video coming out soon, he is a support unit who does constant revives for your allies. So having him in the front row is also handy because he does exit one character. So he does completely remove one character out of battle every round who is in the front row and of your choosing. So he is going to be a very good character in PvP when he does come out. So this is an example of what one team can look like. Or another team, which you might be seeing a lot, includes example 2, where you don't have Goketsu, but you do use Gale Wind instead. So you'd have 3 grapplers in the end, but Gale Wind will be relevant again because Goketsu does get countered by Tank Top Master. So many people will see subbing out Goketsu entirely because Tank Top literally just ignores those minions, which ruins his kit. So you might be seeing this team commonly. I do plan on using example 2 commonly. That's why I included it in this as well, because this is a good lineup as well if you do decide to choose a team lineup with Gale Wind. Now, some other examples I did include could be example 3, where if you don't have Phoenix Man, for example, and if some UALs out there do use King still and don't have Flashy, then you can use him as your Esper alongside Gargantua with TTM and DSK in the same column. So they'll be dealing in tons of breakthrough alongside Deep Sea King's follow-up passive. So that's also going to be a good combo with Goketsu still being there as a decent tank, and then Garo or some other grappler or some other alternative character you can fit into your team. That's not a bad idea as well. And example 4, if you still use Atomic Samurai can still be used. So you can obviously use him, and if you have Carnage, you can use him as well. This is much of a lower end type of team, but for those players who did pull a lot of the beginning characters of the SSR Plus era, you could also use this team and see how that trials out. So those are some examples of what some higher end lineups will look like with Tank Top Master right before the Drive Knight core era. Now, going through some of the lower end examples, for example 1, for those who have been free to play for majority of this era, they should have at least around 3 to 4 SSR Plus units. So you can use Deep Sea King, and hopefully if you saved enough for Tank Top Master, they're going to be a good pairing to use. So you can definitely put them in the same column, and that's going to be quite strong. And then if you have Carnage, for example, which a lot of people did pull for at the very beginning, then you can use Carnage as well still as one of your spare slots. And then if you did get Sonic V2 in PvP, at least he will be your main speedster, so you can be using him for speed so that you don't need to put speed gears onto anyone else and they can focus purely on attack or HP depending on that character. Now, the final slot alongside Gargantua core can be whatever Esper that you can fit in. So this can include any other Espers that you have, such as RMG, ATT, or even Phoenix Man to hide that column. They're not bad alternatives, but some good alternatives as well do include SRs like Butterfly DX. He is going to be very good with Deep Sea King in particular if you have him in the same row. I even use him because he boosts the dot of Deep Sea King, which if you haven't seen my Deep Sea King keepsake video, the dot is insane. It is very powerful and it starts the corrosion meta. So having him paired up with Butterfly DX is such an amazing combo because I still use him today in my main lineup even. So Butterfly DX is still a very good unit. Don't disregard him as an SR, he's quite good. But if you don't have Butterfly DX, then another great option is Sky King because he grants bonus damage increase for 2 rounds. So not only does this increase the dot, but this can also increase the damage reflect, which if you have Tank Top Master and even Carnage, that's a lot more damage reflect you can deal and benefit from his passive. So Sky King is also not a bad idea. Now with example 2, if you did manage to pull Watchdog Man back in the day, he can be used with Tank Top Master. They will synergize quite well because it does increase the HP of Tank Top Master. So that is going to be also a good pairing to use. And then for your Esper slots, you can use, like I said before, Sky King's not a bad example alongside Gargantua. Now the other 2 slots, that means they can be completely whoever you want, since Gargantua core only needs at least 2 Espers and grapplers, which I've already filled out in the example. So some other alternatives, if you do have Sonic V2, I would recommend Sonic V2 as one of them as your speedster for PvP. Otherwise, if you don't have Sonic V2, you can use some other examples like an extra Espo if you want, like Butterfly DX if you have Deep Seeking. But if you don't have Deep Seeking, then there's no need to put Butterfly DX, and you can use either regular Phoenix Man or RMG or ATT in that instance. Or you can decide to use other grapplers such as Goketsu, who does boost that healing rate for your team, or you can use Soyuru as a sub DPS, or Alloy to get that ult damage reduction, or you can even use some SRs like Tanktop Vegan, who does increase the shield rate, which will be very useful and very handy with specialized protection since they do stack, so that's not a bad idea as well. Or you can use Fistfight Jin to get extra encouragement, so that means just extra energy on your team, which you could use for PvE and even PvP, so that's not a bad idea as well. And not that they're a must, but maybe more so PvE, you could use buffers such as Lightning Genji or Dr. Genis to increase the attack of your units. Now, it doesn't have to particularly be Tanktop Master because he doesn't benefit highly from it, but if you have other DPSs alongside Tanktop Master, then you can use either Lightning Genji if you have shields on a character, or you can use Dr. Genis if you have a healer on your team, and they will boost the attacks of your allies if they do meet those requirements. So those are some examples of what some lower end lineups can look like, and you can be very flexible with what teams you can create with Tanktop Master. So going through the main takeaways from this unit, he is a very tanky unit, being able to generate tons of specialized guard through both of his passives, which will make him very hard to kill. He also has damage reflect, which is always handy for both PvP and PvE, and we now have access to a hero that does damage reflect, which is going to help out greatly. Those pesky minions of Goketsu will be no more, as he'll be able to negate any sort of damage sharing, which exposes Goketsu's kit greatly, and he'll be able to be killed within a much quicker time. So a very good counter in that regard. Tanktop Master's kit is also very breakthrough heavy, with it being part of his ultimate attack as well as his minions being able to inflict breakthrough after any ally's actions. So there are many opportunities of breakthrough that can occur per round, which is going to be very strong against Geruganshup's core. And finally, his minions never die. So even if Tanktop Master is dead, those minions do not have a health bar and will still be able to deal their breakthrough follow-ups, allowing for constant DPS throughout the rest of the battle. Now, going through some of his cons, firstly, he is a grappler, which can be quite a competitive type with others such as Goketsu, Garo, Carnage, and even Deep Seeking, so he may be hard to slot in as a leader for your member training. Secondly, he will get countered by Gorobas in the future, as he is able to negate damage reflect, who should be released about 4 months from now. This doesn't, however, remove the effectiveness of his minions, so Tanktop Master will still be able to regenerate a lot of his specialized protection, so just keep that in mind for the future. And finally, the main bummer is that he is released during essential units, as he is sandwiched between Deep Seeking and Drive Knight, so I would consider Tanktop Master to be a luxury out of those three, as the pull priority should be Drive Knight first for the next meta core, then Deep Seeking for his massive DPS output, then followed lastly by Tanktop Master for his tankiness. So going off that point, should you pull for Tanktop Master? So for free to play, I wouldn't recommend pulling for him if you can't summon for all three between Deep Seeking, Tanktop Master, and Drive Knight. He should be treated more as a luxury choice to pull only if you can afford it. Otherwise, focus on those other two units, as they'll have a much longer meta span. Now for mid spenders, he is a great pull to go for, as he'll help counter those Goketsus in PvP, as well as help greatly in PvE game modes such as Crescent Towers, especially the upper Crescent. Now his keepsake is also very good, much like how it was heavily recommended to get Carnage's keepsake once upon a time when he first came out. But nowadays, damage reflect isn't overly as strong as it used to be in PvP, with the introduction of specialized corrosion and protection. So if you want to save for other keepsakes instead, then that isn't a bad option, and Tanktop Master's keepsake isn't a must pull, but you're still open to pull for it because it's not a bad keepsake at all. And for high spenders, definitely get his second awakening if you can, as in PvP you are going to cause a bloodbath on how quickly you are going to break through your enemy's shields constantly, as well as keeping your tank top alive for so much longer. And now I present the predicted SSR Plus timeline for global. So we are still unsure about what Moonton will decide on doing with Giro, as they skipped him entirely, so I've just predicted that he'll be on the Awaken wheel during September for the time being. Now what has been confirmed though is that Phoenix Man is finally coming out after months of delays. on the Awaken wheel in August, which will get a confirmation date soon. Otherwise, it's looking like Drive Night will be released next month during September, which will be the 2nd anniversary, and I really hope this year's anniversary isn't as bad as last year's one. Anyways, that wraps up the end of the video. I'd love to give shoutouts to all of my YouTube members, as you guys are massive contributors in making this type of content possible. If you're new to the channel and enjoyed this video, then please subscribe to my channel and click on the notification bell to stay up to date in keeping your One Punch Man account the strongest. Feel free to leave a like and a comment down below, and check out my Discord and membership links in the description for if you have any questions, and either myself or the community will help answer for you. So anyways, that's all for today, and I will catch you all next time.